In previous videos, I proposed that Iron Man and Lisa Simpson are both PDA-coded Hollywood characters. Y'all wanted more. Here's a slideshow of my PDA Hollywood character headcanon. Before we get into it, let me acknowledge that I'm gonna miss some characters. I have not seen every single movie or every single TV show in the whole wide world. If you can think of some characters, especially queer characters, BIPOC characters, please include them in the comments. Secondly, I'm talking about the characters and not the actors that play the character. In several instances, the actor themselves has a lot of PDA traits, but we're not supposed to say, you know, something directly about a real person. You know, social norms. What are you gonna do? Finally, real quick, what's PDA? PDA is a profile of autism not yet widely known in the United States. PDA stands for Persistent Drive for Autonomy. So a PDA-coded character will have autistic traits, sensory and communication issues in particular. They'll also have ADHD traits, along with PDA-specific traits like reactive to authority, figures, hyperverbal, disagreeable, incredibly creative, innovative, custom morality, disguises, costumes, role play, or fantasy, a great sense of humor, dislike instruction, disobey commands, and if they're in a group, they'll be the leader. They're funny, and they often have a unique trademark style of speaking, a custom, self-created lifestyle, either alone or surrounded by a chosen family of other misfits. Brilliant. And they are allergic to hierarchy. MJ from Spider-Man, one of my favorite in my autistic headcanon. MJ leads the gifted student group. She's invited to parties, but she stands apart and is obsessed with telling the truth. An outsider with unusual interests. She's not like other girls her age. Very observant, and she sees things that other people don't, like the fact that Peter's Spider-Man. MJ has a very dry tone of voice. She masks, but she's actually very loving and self-protective. Pippi Longstocking, the ultimate unschooler. Pippi lives alone, well, except for a whole house full of personified animals. Highly social, but an unconventional friend. She's an adultified child who finds incredibly creative workarounds to get her needs met. Let's not even get into the sensory implications of being named after your special tall socks. Flarsky from Longshot. He's a hyperverbal presidential speechwriter who ends up dating the presidential candidate, played by Charlize Theron. Seth Rogen's character feels totally equal to Charlize Theron's character. He has incredibly high ideals, yet he parties and he has meltdowns. He picks a fight with the richest man in the world. And he also dresses 100% for comfort, not really ever to be professional. There's signs of dyspraxia, he falls down some stairs, stuff like that. Nora from Queens. I would 100% be her best friend in real life. She is so hierarchy reactive that in one episode she meets God and she calls God a bitch. Executive functioning issues, she's deeply loyal, she has addiction issues, super smart, trademark voice, queer, enjoys herb, and constantly avoids demands. Deadpool, traumatized, queer, sarcastic, suicidal, hair trigger, fight reflex, surrounds himself with a chosen family of outcasts. Max from Rushmore, tries to date a teacher, competes with a grown man, president of every club in the school, director of the school plays that he writes himself. Juno from Juno, hyperverbal, sarcastic, and comedic. Juno is very different from peers her age. She has a custom moral view and a deep sense of justice. Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters. He's anti-authority, yet a leader. He's got strong Loki energy, hyperverbal, manipulative, surrounded by his own chosen family, deep into his special interests in the occult. He uses jokes, charm, and outrage to avoid demands. Thinks himself equal to mayors and demigods alike. Only intimidated by babies. Speaking of Ghostbusters, we've got Dr. Abby Yates. Abby is very bossy, very funny. She gives orders, but she doesn't take them. She follows her own belief system regardless of ridicule. She was bullied badly in school, but found that one friend who got it. They had a toxic falling out at one point. Now they're back together, part of a custom family they built around their special interests, ghosts. Fantastic Mr. Fox. He's got incredible charisma that allows him to get away with thievery and mischief. He's a hyperverbal writer, sees human farmers as his equal, has catchphrases, defies direct orders from his wife and his lawyer, and yet he is an excellent leader. He's the second Wes Anderson character that I've used in this headcanon, and there is a strong PDA streak to Mr. Anderson's entire body of work. Shuri from Black Panther. In her lab, Shuri reigns above the king. She will take his orders, but she's going to make fun of his sandals first. She's constantly innovating the tech. Remember the scene where she disrupts the ceremony because her corset is bothering her? Like, was that using humor to disrupt tradition, or was that sensory issues, or both? She is everything that Tony Stark wishes he was. Except she's hidden inside of Wakanda, and he gets to be Iron Man out in the open in front of the whole world press with no consequences for his actions. It was very hard to find Hollywood examples of black PDAers that lived outside of Wakanda or outside of the future. Can you think of any? Please let me know. The demon Crowley, of Good Omens. In the ultimate act of hierarchy blindness, Crowley defies both heaven and hell to do exactly what he pleases. He falls in love with an angel, an ultimate avatar of custom morality and charming demand avoidance. Whew. Miss Pascal in Stranger Than Fiction. I relate to her so much. She wants to tell the government how to use her tax money. And so she's getting audited, and she acts both aggressive and seductive with the IRS auditor. She's a brilliant baker and a community creator, argumentative, generous, and defiant. I think that her counterpart, Harold Krick, is PDA as well, but that may have to be its own video. Ruby Rhod, genderless fashion icon, has a unique voice, uses charm and diversion, has a strong fight, flight, freezer, fawn threat response, escapes with sex and alcohol, has a genius level vocabulary and incredible vocal rhythm. They're an insecure but incredibly talented performer. Chris Knight from the movie Real Genius. 80s movie, possibly the most PDA character ever in the most autistic movie ever. It's a great movie, but it is seriously lacking in racial and gender diversity. So it doesn't actually accurately reflect the autistic community. It's not nearly queer enough. However, it's still a really fun romp. Chris Knight's humor is all based on taking things really, really literally. By the end, he manages to get revenge on a rival student, an authoritarian professor, and the government military complex, all at the same time. So many more. In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I think all three of the main characters could have PDA. Ferris, Cameron, and Sloane. Let's not forget Margot Tenenbaum. Or Susie and Laura Bishop from Moonrise Kingdom. Sam as well. It's Steve and Eleanor Zissou. Who did I forget? Who's your favorite?